Welcome to this week's Mentoring Moment. My name is Lisa Martin and I am the founder of Minnesota Real Estate Mentors, where we help newly licensed and inexperienced agents launch extraordinary careers. In this week's lesson, we're going to talk about the 2-1 Buydown program that's available to buyers. So we all know that we've been struggling with getting buyers to purchase because of the extreme increase in interest rates, right? So last week we saw interest rates in the 7s. We had a little bit of a drop, but who knows with this crazy environment and the Fed trying to control inflation, we've had so much fluctuation and so many increases. So how does a buyer get a house in this crazy environment? Well, a 2-1 buydown might be a good option for your buyers. So let's talk about what a 2-1 buydown is and how it might help. So I've got some information here from my good friend Kelly Tankey. Kelly is a loan officer with Summit Mortgage, and she shared with me a 2-1 buydown program that Summit Mortgage has. So let's take a look at it. So a 2-1 buydown program basically is a program in which a buyer can have the benefit of a 2% decrease in their interest rate for the first year, and then a 1% decrease in their interest rate for that second year. After the second year, the interest rate goes back to whatever rate they've locked into. And the beautiful thing about this is it's a concession that the seller can pay for the buyer. So let's look at some of the specifics. As I mentioned, it's a program where the buyer experiences a 2% less interest rate for the first year and 1% less of the interest rate in that second year. The home buyer advantages is that they can use a seller concession to pay for the 2-1 buydown, so it doesn't increase the buyer's costs. We've got that lower rate for the first 2 years. And if the buyer refinances within the 2 years, they'll receive the benefit of a principal reduction for the unused seller concession. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. So how to qualify? The buyer must qualify at that fixed rate. They can't use that lower rate for qualifying. It's available on owner-occupied and second home purchases. Obviously, they have to meet the agency guidelines for getting the loan. And then the seller concession is based on the loan amount, not on the purchase price. So let's look at some of the FAQs regarding this program so that we can really explain it to buyers. So here's some of the specifics of the program. There's no interest rate hit to the 30-year fixed rate, whether or not they do the 2-1 buydown, meaning that if the client has not been able to refinance in those first 2 years, the rate they locked into will stay the same moving forward after that second year into the third year and so on. So this is applicable to fixed rate mortgage on a 30-year. So basically, this is a lump sum concession that you can ask the seller to pay for. So as far as how much, so it says the realtor should ask the loan officer for the exact amount of the buydown and then round up maybe $1,000 to be ultra safe. This would be in the case of the lump sum by the seller being short. But if there's an overage, then any of that additional amount can go to the remainder of the buyer's closing costs. So the buydown we talked about is based on the loan amount, not on the purchase price. So on average, 2.25 to 2.6 of the loan amount. Can we get the buydown plus seller paid closing costs? The answer is yes. However, there are limits of which the seller can pay. So if the buyer has less than 10% down, the amount of the buydown and the closing costs is 3%. If they have more than 10% down, it's capped at 6%. So that's pretty great. It applies to primary and secondary homes only, not investment properties, conventional FHA, VA, USDA. If the seller refinances during that period of time in those first 2 years, whatever the remaining amount is of that concession will be applied as a principal reduction to the new loan. So that's it on really the details of the 2-1 buydown. I encourage you, if you're working with buyers right now and they are not willing to move forward because of the high interest rates, introduce them to the 2-1 buydown, get a hold of Kelly, and see if maybe this might be a good option for them moving forward. So again, I'm Lisa Martin with this mentoring moment, and we'll see you next week. Bye.